one of the questions that I had was, could you touch on the the early companions of Imam Ahmad radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and the diversion of the madhab between his early companions and the transmission, especially the Aqida, the transmission of the madhab and Aqida from his early companions.
The students of Imam Ahmad radiallahu anhu were not on the same level. They had different levels when it comes to knowledge. Some of them were mujtahideen, like al-Bukhari or Muslim, in my opinion, and Abu Dawood Sijistani. They were mujtahideen. Al-mujtahid is a mujtahid in everything. When I say mujtahid like that, at that time, we are talking about a mujtahid in everything, not a mujtahid in a particular issue also. He had other students who just, they were just narrators. They were just transmitters of the masail. Some of those mashayikh, or some of those students of Ahmad, they didn't even narrate anything related to our Aqida. They were focused on narrating the issues of al-fiqh. They were focused on narrating the issues of al-hadith, not the issues of al-aqid. Anyone who practices religion will have aqidah. So they start expressing their own aqid, their own narrations, their own madahib, regardless of Ahmad's madhab. What I'm explaining now is something that some of the mashayikh didn't really notice. For instance, you have Al-Jami' al-Ulum Imam Ahmad, 22 volumes. Everything that Ahmad said, at least in the books that we can access right now, 22 volumes. It includes Aqida, Hadith, Fiqh, and other things. When it comes to the Aqida, they mention the things that his son said, Abdullah, that Abdullah said. Not that Abdullah narrated from Ahmad, but Abdullah said some things that some of the companions, some of the Hanbali scholars in the 4th century and the 5th century. This doesn't represent Ahmad. It's not complicated. The Aqeedah of Ahmad can be mentioned in something like Usul al-Sunnah that everyone knows. You find it not in a separate book. It is narrated in Tabaqat, Ibn Abi Ya'la. It's a very short text that represents the Aqeedah of Ahmad. The Aqeedah of Ahmad Hanbal is simple and short, so it can easily be narrated. And you can see in every generation of the Hanabila, a lot of people who narrated this Aqeedah and agreed on most of it. And the differences start to appear when you see the areas in which Ahmad radiallahu anhu didn't have any ijtihad. So, the highlight of this is in a book called Al-Ayn wal-Athar. The author of this book claimed that this is the Aqeedah of Ahmad. So he had a chapter about the Aqeedah that was narrated from Ahmad, and other chapters about the Ash'ari and Hanbali disagreements, in which he mentioned a lot of things that Ahmad himself didn't mention, but they can be in the Hanbali madhab because they are in harmony with Ahmad's principles. This part of Ahmad's Aqeedah, the Aqeedah that can be traced back to Ahmad, this is the part in which you find a lot of asanid going to Ahmad, indicating the same meaning that the author mentioned in his. So it is a connected chain. And this author of Al-Ayn al-Athar, he was in the 11th century. So you see?
No.
Now,
So Shaykh, that actually, Jazakumullah khair, that actually was part of my next question. Was I was going to ask you about the development of the madhab from the time of Shaykh Ibn Qudama to our time today, but pretty much you answered that question from the answer you just gave al ayn wal athar.
and in the books of Al-Athbat, it's the books in which you find uh, the shuyukh of a scholar. Like for instance, a scholar who had a lot of shuyukh, he would mention the names and his asanid. The books of Al-Athbat of the Hanbali scholars, especially in the phase of Al-Mutaakhirin, you will find a lot of them saying, I narrate the Hanbali fiqh and the Athari Aqid from, and you will see a Hanbali isnad full of Al-Hanabil. And it goes through Ibn Qudama, Sidi Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, al-Kalwazani, al-Qadi Abi Ya'la, and other people.